All right, everybody, welcome. My name is Wendy. You are watching Wendy Makes Art, and we have a surprise for you tonight. So let's start out with what we're doing. Got about an hour, and I don't know if you received any art supplies for the holiday season, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. However, my daughter gave me a bunch of teeny tiny little art supplies in my stocking, and we're going to review and see how they work over the next few weeks. With that, let me show you the teeny tiny wristwatch paint box. It's probably the smallest thing I've ever seen. You're going to crack up. All right, so let's put this on camera so you can kind of see what's going on over here. And notice there is a little box on the side. Hey Lebowski, welcome. There's a little, it looks like a button. It's not a button. We'll see what that is here in a second. Works like a wristwatch. You just strap it on to your wrist. I'm going to do that after we load the paint because it's going to be tough enough. And then it's hinged. So when I do put it on my wrist, I want to make sure that the side that opens, this opens, I'm about to show you the insides, goes towards my left hand. Now we're going to open this up. Check this out. So this could be a mixing area, but it's actually a place to hold your paper. We're going to put it in there so you can see that. There's a little mixing area right here. You're going to love this. A teensy tiny itsy bitsy paintbrush. We'll try using it. Little wells for where we're going to put paint. We're going to fill it with paint tonight. And this is great. This is the water bottle. So I have not filled it yet. It's a little squeezy bottle. Is that not the cutest thing you have ever seen? Super tiny, fits in there, and then you have everything you need. Now, it came with paper, and I can't get all the little sheets. They're specially cut. Oh, it's already bent. Just for this kit. I'm going to take one that's not bent. And it's watercolor paper, so I can tell that it is specially cut color paper, and it sits in the top of that. And yes, if you have one sheet, you can snap and store your paper in, and it is all ready to go. So we're going to paint with that here in a little bit. For now, I'm going to undo my paintbrush, grab a napkin, and we're going to start by filling this with colors. So I have another project, and I had 6 colors since I have 6 little tiny wells in here. And let me see if I can move this down. Hold on a second. I may have to do a little finagling. Okay. Maybe this will get you a little closer. I'll make sure we don't lose the lamp. But that gets you a little bit closer. Right now, all you see is water. I'm going to move over here. And let me show you what we're going to use. So I have My Merry Blue watercolors. They were already out, and I already had 6 colors. And so we're going to go with this set and load these in this palette. Okay. Now I need to decide what order. Oh, I have 2 161s. So I could put one more color in this set because I don't need 2 161s. So let's kind of just take a look real quick. If I can find my box of these colors. I don't know where I put them. That's crazy. They should be right here. All right, we're going to add something close by as a substitute since I have 2 161s. And I don't know where to put the rest of those. Oh, they're right here. Oh, I see them. Never mind. I see them. Okay, so raw sienna. Absolutely love it. It's going to give us a creamy color. We've got two different blues. I have a, even with my glasses, I can't read this. A Berlin blue. I have a phthalo turquoise, a quinacridone magenta, and then dragon's blood, which is a really interesting combo. And I'm wondering if we need something a little more on the orange. Like here's a pyro orange, and I'd like to see what we can get with, I think that will go with the blues really well and the warms. So let's mix that in and just go with that. First one we pulled out, we're gonna go with it. Okay. Yes, it is a very Inspector Gadget art watch. It's so tiny, right? So the first thing I want to do is let's fill this little, again, teeny tiny eyedropper water bottle. I don't think I've ever seen one this small. So you open it up, and I think it is, I can't tell if it's glass or plastic, but we're just going to take some water and scoop that in there, and let me see how much water I can get into it. A couple drops at a time, which is hilarious. I'm not sure how this will work when I'm painting, if I can sit it up in that set. Let's just kind of fill our water bottle. Okay, so we've got a nice number of little water drops. And yeah, while I'm painting, I can just sit it straight up and down in the kit. And let me kind of show you what that looks like. So there you go. So teensy tiny. All right, so we've got 6 wells, and I need to decide how I want to place the colors. And I'm almost thinking that the way I have them here, I think we do it this way. Let's change it a little bit so that we've got our orange, our magenta, and then this red brown over here. And I have toothpicks. So I picked up toothpicks. I am not going to add any glycerin to this because these holes are so tiny, I'm not going to get much in here. So let's start with this back one and our lightest color, which is 161 Raw Sienna. Those of you who watch this channel know this is like my favorite color. And I can make you a little swatch while we're at it. So I'm just going to take this, and we're going to use the brush after we fill each one, and we'll make a swatch card for what is in here. And because it's so tiny, let's see how we do this. I'm going to get a little bit on the tip of the toothpick and kind of just push it in. So first observation, I'm surprised how much I can get in this little tiny kit. They were nice sized wells. They go pretty deep. They're not narrow, like they're not shallow. And I'm still stuffing stuff in here. Let's see, I'm going to push it down in there and try to get it on the corners. And I don't want it too high because I don't want to make a big mess. All right, so there's one. And now let's put a little bit of, I'm not even sure what I do with, maybe I could put some of the water over in this, where the brush goes. And then get the teeny tiny little brush. This is crazy. And we're going to swatch that color. Not too bad. Okay, one down. Let's see if I have enough on here that I can put it back in the little thing. Nope, all I did was make a mess. So let's see how hard it is to clean the brush. Not bad. I think what I'd need to do is also get one of, have you guys seen where people will take, and you can use the cuff of a sleeve, like if I didn't absolutely love my Yeti shirt, you can cut the cuff of a sleeve like this off, and then you can put this on your wrist and use it to clean your watercolor brushes. So all you do is, you want it a little snugger than this, but this isn't very snug. So I would have this, and then the wristwatch maybe over my arm or on this side when I were painting. So this would be over here. And that way I could use the armband to clean my teeny tiny itsy bitsy little brush. This is so crazy, right? So nuts. Okay, I'm gonna get a new toothpick. That's all I'm using are toothpicks. And we're gonna try this Pyro Orange color. I'm gonna open it up. Hope it's not too separated near the top. And so I'm just gonna get some out and kind of shove it in the little hole as best as I can. If you guys have a suggestion on a better way to put paint in this, definitely jump in. Let me look at the comments real quick. Non-GMO raw sienna. Oh man. Lebowski, you're a pill. Okay. So this is My Mary Blue watercolors. I think I'm going to take my brush and clean this up a little bit where I've kind of gotten it on the sides. And let's show you what that color looks like. It's beautiful when it is thinned out. Makes gorgeous washes. And I'm really curious how that's going to look once it's mixed with the next one, which is the quinacridone magenta. But I got to get this stuff in the back first. So I'm cleaning up the edges because I made a little bit of a mess. Can't really tell, but it's so teeny tiny. And I'm going to lift this up so you can see what we're doing now. I am really pleased with how much paint I can get in the little tiny wells. So let me bring this closer to you so you can kind of see. And let me take a toothpick so you can see how deep they are. So we're going to take our finger, and that gives you an idea how deep they are right there. Okay. Next up, the Berlin Blue. So it looks like this color has not separated too much, which I'm pleased about. And it's drippy, but if I can drip it right into the bottom of that well, it'll help me fill it. Pretty good. All right, that's two. Now let's take our teeny tiny little paintbrush and we're going to put this one right here. Grab some water. Pretty, right? Pretty nice. Okay. I want lots of time for us to do this tiny little painting, so I gotta get moving. Moving. All right, next up, now we're going to do the quinacridone rose. So here's the quinacridone rose. These are so tiny. Earlier, I could not find my reading glasses and I panicked. I thought, how am I ever going to see this without my reading glasses? I went up and down the stairs 3 times before I found them sitting on the kitchen island. All right. There we go. Itsy bitsy teensy weensy. I'll get some clean water. I'm not using this water in here because I contaminated it with orange. And I got to get it out of there, but just kind of play with this a little bit so you can kind of see the colors. And then let's clean the brush out. Still has color in it. Gosh, it's so tiny, right? Okay, let's see what I can do to get this well of water out here. Pretty easy. The whole thing is so tiny, it doesn't hold a lot. Okay, let me show you what we've got so far in our teeny tiny little wrist paint kit. So remember, our little water, it'll sit like that. And then this is for where the brush sits. But I'm going to use it as a little paint well. And then we've got 2 more colors to put in here before we can do a painting. So this next one is called Phthalo Turquoise. I'm going to get a new toothpick. I think I can get a little more in there. All right, it's messy. This one's messy. I have stuff all over everything. And it is phthalo turquoise, so of course it's gonna get everywhere. Look at that, beautiful color. All right. That's going to give us some really nice dark darks. We'll mix it with other colors to get it nice and dark. And then the last one is called Dragon's Blood. And this is more like, a lot like a burnt sienna. I see, Lebowski, you are just having a fun time with the raw umbers and the raw siennas. You're just in your own little world over there. Okay, here we go. This pink color, which is a beautiful color, you'll see it when I swatch it, is called Dragon's Blood, unique to My Merry Blue. All right. And let's get our teeny tiny paintbrush. And I'm going to show you guys how this looks. So it's beautiful, deep, really purpley red. And let me get this up so I can show you guys the colors that we put in this palette now. All right, so there we go. These are the 6 colors we have, and we're gonna do a little painting. I'm gonna pull it up, what we're gonna paint tonight on the screen, and if anybody wants to paint with me, feel free to follow along. I am going to move the paints to the side and get a clean paper towel so that if Pogo comes up here, she can't make a mess. All right. Now this first one I am going to paint just with it right here and not on my wrist, because I think that's going to be too hard to hold my wrist and have all of you watching this teeny tiny thing. And occasionally I'll lift it up so you can see what I'm doing. The other thing I'm going to do is put this sideways because I have a horizontal painting that we're going to do. And let's see how many sheets this came with. So it came with 1 that's in there, and then here's our color swatches. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And after you do 6 paintings, then you kind of have to just cut all the papers yourself. All right, so we're just going to sit these right back in their little plastic bin and set them aside. That's my only downside to this whole thing, is I wish that it had a slot like underneath or somewhere else that I could slide the papers and store them, or if there were enough room. I can only get one in here and actually close it with the water thing. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw. And I have a very, oh, let's pull up the image here. Here's the image we're going to work with. And I'm going to make this a little bigger so you all can see it. While I paint. Okay, I'm going to bring the paint over here for you to see. And the water cup I'll just bring back there so you don't need to see that. And guys, occasionally I will lift this up so that you can see what the art looks like. Okay? So we're going to start with, this is a teeny tiny little church. And of course I want it to sit on the page right here. And let's kind of see how we do. I'm coming first with the front. So let's draw this tall, long front first. I may have to do a little adjusting, and then I may have to also do a little erasing because we're working so very little. And from that, this guy comes up here. And then this guy goes all the way back over here. And we really don't see a lot of that roof. It just really dives down. Now the bell tower is going to be teensy in this version. And I think I have my angles a little too high. So let's bring this down and this down. And luckily I have a tiny eraser. This is not my tiniest eraser, but it is a tiny eraser, which is good because I need it. And I'm trying to look and see, the peak of this is over the halfway point, just a hair. So I'm going to make sure that that stays there. And then, if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm trying to get this paper out without flipping it because I have wet paint now. I'll just blow it. There, we'll do that. And what I don't want to do is, here, let's try some kneaded eraser to lift it up. I've got all these little things in here. So I'm going to lift this up so you can kind of see what I'm drawing. Maybe not. There you go. Now you can kind of see it. Do you guys see it? You can see the drawing start to come together. Okay, I'm going to get the tree or the idea of the tree, and I'm not going to draw too many details because we'll get, quote, in the weeds. Ha ha ha. So funny. And I really don't want to get in the weeds with this. I just want to get it painted. So I've got a little top there. The weeds come up along here. This is wire here, and there's a little part right there. And then there's a piece that comes down in here. Land, trees, right over here, door, windows. So the bottom of the windows and the top of this door comes right in here. And it's pretty tiny compared to the rest of this. And then the window is way up here. There's a little window. And then these windows, the bottom of them line up with the door. And there's just one here and one kind of in the middle here. Okay. And then we've got like a hedge. So I can kind of put the idea of that in here. And it's wild and crazy on the sides, going uphill. And then let's erase that mark and that mark. And I think we have enough detail now to draw or to paint. So let me show you again. I'm going to take this like this. Do you guys see the teeny tiny little drawing? It's so itsy bitsy. This is so small that it is, let's see, I'm guessing it's 1 inch by maybe 1.5 inches. I don't have a ruler up here close by. That's what my guess is. It's so very teensy tiny. Okay. So let's paint it now. And we're going to open our bottle and put some water in the paintbrush area so I have something to work with. And I've got this teeny tiny little brush. So I've got to mix. Oof, they're still brown on my thing. I'll just leave it in there. I'm going to mix some of this blue and a little bit of this. Too much. Mixing is going to be my biggest problem, guys. I'm a mixer. And I'm trying to mix a gray because this guy has all kinds of crazy grays. It needs a little more blue in it. So let's throw a little bit of this in here. More over here. And I'm going to pull this back up here in a second so you can kind of see the sky painted. The paper it came with is nice. The water just, I mean, the painting itself with this teeny tiny brush Went on really nice. So let me kind of show you where we're at. And there you go. Yes, the paper spot is a mixing surface, but I need to put my paper somewhere because I'll never be able to work on it out. Like, I just want you guys to be able to see this. I'm also going to turn a light back and see if, oh, there you go. Now you can kind of see a little more of what I'm doing. Light's not as good in the studio, but we're going to go with it. Okay? Now that gray color is a little subtler. I'm going to take some of this raw sienna and really water it down. And it's going to be shadowing this building. I think it's a little bluer than that. Let me tell you, a little bit on this palette goes a long way. So I want the light hitting right there. And then it's hitting, it's all in shadow on this side. Can barely see what I'm doing. So I'm taking the blue and then that dragon's blood, and I made it a gray. And then I added a little bit of the raw sienna, and I'm watering it down. And I'm going to paint the whole side of this building with that. And just like that, I ran out of color. I need a little more of that. So I'm going to mix some more. Too much blue, so I got to take some off on the paper towel. Still too much. Closer. And I need to shadow this little triangle shape right here. And then the inside of the door, it'll get even darker than that, but I want it shadowed for now. So let me kind of, my light in here looks pink. It's not, I assure you, my light is not pink. It's just that I turned that one thing so that you could see. And now, let me see if you guys can, yeah, it still looks pink. And it should be blue. This is very blue on my screen, guys. I'll try turning the light back when we're done and give you a better hint of the color. This is so tiny, Go West. It is like the tiniest itsy bitsy little painting palette you have ever seen. It's nuts. Okay, remember I said that the phthalo turquoise would make a gorgeous dark color? If I take some of it, and I'm going to take some of that dragon's blood, okay, mix those together. That's too brown. I need a little more of the turquoise. And it's too bright still. So I'm going to take a little bit of the orange, mix that in there and kind of like earth it up. Now it looks like a raw umber. But I want it really dark. All right, now we got like a really nice dark, 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 dark. And I want to lay in a little bit of the dark over here on this left side. Oh, and guys, so you know, this is so tiny that I can barely see what I'm doing. Like, I kind of know what I'm doing, but I'm guessing as I lay the color down, this is a little bit on the bonkers level of tiny. Now I'm going to add and clean the brush, the one teeny tiny little brush, and down here on the bottom of this, I want to clean a spot, water it down, and get a little more of that yellow ochre in there. Okay, and as I do these little tiny tree parts that come up out of this tree on the corner, I'm just changing the color and lightening it. There's also a little hill in there, and I want to take these darks and lay some of them right next to the building right here. Also up behind this part on top and behind the building. So like right over here. And there are these tree shapes. It's probably good that I can't see what I'm doing. And even way down here where it meets the road. Put a little bit of that darker stuff in there. And let me lift this up so you can kind of see again what we're doing. Okay. So a little bit further, it's getting there. I think I put that green too far into the face of the building, and I want to see if I can lift some of that out of here. So I'm going to clean my brush. Who says you need a great big kit to make great little paintings? Obviously, you just need a little teeny tiny itsy bitsy paint kit. Who knew? Okay. I'm going to grab more of this yellow ochre and water it down and add a bunch of it in here, down at the bottom. Now, I did not add a bright enough yellow for this piece in the limited palette, so we're just going to work with what we've got. And this over here, it's going to be like that. And I think I need to put a little bit of the roof in so we can see what we're doing. So I'm just going to take some of this brown in the mix up here. And maybe a little even of that blue. And I'm just going to draw this left roof line and then this roof line over here. That helps me see what we're doing. I'm also going to take that and darken the inside of this door on the left-hand side. And over to here. And then it's got a little bit in the thing up on top. And I know I've got a little bit in the window just so we know where those things are. make a little more dark green along the edge of this down here. The landscape and the plants have some darker areas. I'm just going to kind of like dab it in and let it bleed. This is my smallest painting of all time. You are correct, Go West. I have never painted anything this tiny. Has anybody painted this tiny before? I mean, this is like, it's so tiny, it's a little on the bonkers side. For those of you who love the word bonkers, I'm the only one who loves the word bonkers. Okay. What I'm trying to do is get a little bit of that orange and maybe a little bit of the sienna to make it light, to get just the edge of this roof. You'll only see a little bit of it. And so I'm trying to get it in here. And the idea of those things right there. There's also a little tiny hint of going with orange and pink and laying that on the ground in front. Just kind of let that fold in there. And then we're going to come back in to this orangish color to do the bell thing on top, or at least the idea of it. Because I tell you what, it's so tiny, I can't see the lines I'm doing, which is funny as I'll get out. I want that hint of dirt that comes up the side of the building, like right in here. So I'm just taking some of this brown and putting it in there. And then I'm grabbing some of that orange and making the brown piece across the door frame. And then a little more on the left of that door frame. Probably a little too crazy there. Let's kind of wipe it off a little bit. So it's stained, but not totally nuts. And then a little up in here. There is a tiny blue cross. So let me show this to you. Look at this tiny. It's so nuts. It's so very tiny. And I'm going to turn this light back and see if we can get a little better light so you can see what the colors actually look like. Let's see if that helps. So let's see. That helped. Okay, that gives you a better idea. Little teeny tiny church, right? So I think we could do a little more to it. Notice how dirty I always have a dirty palette. Look at this. It's already dirty. It's so dirty. So now I'm going to take and make the shadow just a little darker over here. I don't want it green though, and everything is green. So let's just wipe this over here on the bottom. And then go back to blue. And I put a little bit of that dragon's blood to make a gray. And I want a nice strong shadow right here. There's a retaining wall on the side of the church, and that's what I'm painting to kind of show where that retaining wall is. And then I want my paper painted all the way to the edge over there. And I'm getting the rest of these greens and kind of just like showing where it meets the pavement up here. And down here. So we got some nice little variation in there. Now I want that same shadow in the doorway. So I don't have my whole doorway. So I want that, but I don't think I want it that dark. So I'm going to lift a little bit of it out. Right there. And I want a little more of this orange brown on the roof, because I think it should come down more like that, which isn't quite right either, but we'll go with it. It's like these little tiny bits that come down. Okay, now here's where another brush will come in handy. What I need is a firm brush to lift and bring the side of this church over a little bit. So I've got to clean this paper off and lift some paint. So I'm going to just dampen it. And lift this paint just like that. And I want a nice crisp edge on this side too. Same for that retaining wall. I want it a little crisper. So I'm just gonna lift a little bit of color. Now there's a cross at the top. So I'm going to take the brown and blue again and make a gray. And I'm just going to do a teeny tiny little idea of a cross up there. And I just got my finger in the paint. So it probably would be a good idea if you get one of these to let your paint dry before you paint with it. Okay, I kind of show you, oh, one more thing. I'm gonna get and make a nice dark color again. And then paint a little bit of where that tower, that bell tower, has a shadow underneath of it. You guys can't really see it. I mean, I can barely see it, so I don't expect you to be able to really see it. Okay, here we go. That gives you another idea of where we are on that little teeny tiny painting. I do think that the larger flat brush in order to clean things up is very helpful. And then I'm going to take a little more of that Viridian. And I mixed a little bit of the orange in with it. And touch up some of these bigger bushes that we have back in the side here. Back behind the wall. And we'll see what kind of dark color we can get by mixing the whole palette. Just add a few more little darks in here. And then the only thing missing is there's a bright blue cross. Now, if I wipe the palette, let's see what we can do. I don't know if we'll be able to see it. There's a tall standing cross right here. And if anything, I think I just made it confusing, but it's there. And sometimes you just need to take things out. If you think it's not going to work, just take it out. So like I can go, okay, that was a bad mistake. Only because you just can't see it. This is just too tiny. So I'm going to try to lift some of that blue off. Of course, it's a staining color. And then maybe I'll take a little wash of that helped a little bit. All I did was wash it with a little bit of the raw sienna. And I can also take some of this red color. Yeah, I should have left well enough alone, but did I? No. Okay, guys. Okay, so let's see. There's the little painting. Give you a better idea of it. Let me pop it out of there and see if we can, I can hold it close. Ruh-roh. And my wristband just came off. So now I got to play with this and fix it. Look. We'll work on that. Okay, so here is the teeniest, tiniest little painting I've ever done. Let me see if I can block some of the light so you can see the colors a little better. It's kind of hard for you to see the colors just right. You're just going to have to trust me on this one. Okay, overall, I loved painting this tiny. It was super fun. It was kind of crazy and super fun to try it. I didn't know what I'd be able to accomplish, but now I have this really tiny postage stamp painting that is amazing to have somewhere. The work surface is easy to clean up. So I like that I can use the brush holder to put paint in, which I did. It gets messy quickly, but that's okay. All of my palettes do. And of course it's going to be really easy to clean. So all I have to do to clean it, I even have a hair on there, I don't know how I did that, is just wet another little paper towel, clean out my brush area, clean that because I made a mess of that. Ruh-roh. Now I've lost my paintbrush. And then try not to lose your mini paintbrush, because if you lose your mini paintbrush, it's going to take you a while to find it. Well, that's interesting. I have no idea what I did with it, guys. Hilarious. I don't see it on here. Okay. So, there is my review without my paintbrush, which I've managed to lose. Did a little painting, we did a little set of swatches, and we filled it. And that only took less than an hour. So take a look. Next time you have a chance to get something just crazy fun like this, go for it. It was a super fun stocking stuffer, and thank you for my daughter for the great ideas. We're going to move up from here. Next week's a little bigger, and then the week after is a little bigger than that. But they're all super tiny, and they were all in my stocking. So thank you all. Have a great week. I will see you on Friday for Friday Night Dinos. Bye.